And welcome to Liberty and Freedom with Harper and Brian. I am Brian Bledsoe along with Harper Price. So, we've had, all these episodes, and it's funny because this was an idea that just kind of popped in my head when I was at CPAC. And just like, let's bring on candidates that are running for, Texas governor to ask them, about things that are going on in the black community and get a sense of, how things are going. And yeah, just from that, and then just reached out, and right now, as everyone know, we have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West on for this episode. And so, first off, let me say that we are reaching out to all candidates who are running for Texas governor. So whoever is have officially announced, we're going to reach out and to hopefully bring them on. We look forward to having them on, as well as we appreciate Colonel West to join us tonight. And so first off, before we get started, Harper, did you have anything? Nope. All right. Well, with that being said, let's bring on Lieutenant Colonel Alan West.
Hey, good evening. It's good to
How you
be.
doing, sir?
It's good to be with you, Harper and Brian. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to reschedule this to this evening. I got held up with the Dallas deplorables Sunday evening. I wasn't able to make that 7 o'clock Sunday night programming, but it's great to be with you all.
Thank you.
Oh, well, it's totally fine. I mean, I understand everybody has a busy schedule, so we're glad to have you on now. And first off, before we get into some of the questions, given that mentioning you being Lieutenant Colonel, retired, but also wanted to get your thoughts as far as what's been going on in Afghanistan with the tragedy of losing our troops and things that are going on right now.
Well, I spent 2.5 years in Afghanistan, and it is very personal for me. Early this morning, I had an email exchange with one of the interpreters that used to work with me, and we were not able to get him out in time. And I'm just lifting him up in prayer that he will not fall asunder to the Taliban. There were many others that were able to get out, but I think that this is just a dark moment for the United States of America and our credibility. And living here in Texas, this has an effect on us because eventually that terrorism that we have allowed to have a sanctuary in Afghanistan, it'll find its way across a very open border that we have here in Texas, and we will have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. So I mean, I know we on this stream hasn't talked about it because we're doing a monthly stream, but yeah, I definitely want to get your thoughts on it. But we don't want to take up too much of your time, so we want to definitely get down to our questions. And first off, I want to say our questions are going to be based on Blex's Blex's mission statement. So that's where we're coming from. And so the first question is, Blexit is, we are advocates of school choice. And by looking on your website, you yourself have shown to be for school choice as well. So as governor, what are your plans as far as to try to accomplish, more school choice in Texas?
Well, sure. I just stepped down from the chairmanship of the Republican Party of Texas, and that was one of our legislative priorities was school choice. And it was just absolutely appalling that we have a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, Speaker of the House. We control the Texas State Senate, the Texas State House, and we were not able to get school choice passed. And this is not just something that is political for me. This is very, again, personal for me because I'm a product of school choice. I grew up in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, and my parents made the decision not to send me to the two public schools there in our neighborhood, the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, C.W. Hill and John Pope. They sent me to Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic School, which was located right across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church. And when you talk about school choice, I see that as one of the critical civil rights issues of this modern generation, because how can you have the equality of opportunity and get all of the blessings that this great nation will offer to you if you're not having the ability to have equality access to education? And I think that's one of the important things we have to have. And when you look at the failure of the progressive socialist left and the horrible public schools that we have in the black communities and inner city communities, we have got to open up choice for parents to give their kids a better opportunity and a better leg up to achieve and have the American dream.
Yeah, and I on this subject, especially one topic when it comes to just talking about education is the prevalence of critical race theory that is
Sure.
going on. And yeah, so with that's going on, how would you look to tackle that issue?
Well, sure. I think one of the things we have to be concerned about is why would we want young black kids to be taught that they're victims just because of their skin color, that they're oppressed, that they will never be able to achieve and accomplish anything. You know, I was born in a blacks only hospital in 1961, and look at the things that I've been able to accomplish and achieve in my life, and I want to see that also for future generations. You just had the head of the teachers unions here in the United States of America, Randy Weingarten, said that they're willing to fight parents so that they can teach critical race theory in grades K through 12. So they're not caring about educating our children. They want to indoctrinate our children, and especially our young black children, is to get them to understand and believe that they're somehow inferior. And what I call that is the soft bigotry of low expectations. So as governor of the state of Texas, number one, we're going to get school choice passed. And number two, we're going to make sure that there is no critical race theory being taught. And what I'd like to see are more of these private sector businesses and corporations, especially in the technology sector, that they start to sponsor and adopt some of these schools that we have in our inner city communities and focusing them on science, technology, and in engineering and math, all the STEM curriculum instead of all this other social justice crap.
All right, Harper.
Yeah, and that, I guess that kind of leads into the next question of, especially with this Gen Z, millennials, all of that, they haven't really been taught even how to pay taxes, everything that comes with being an adult, because they've been coddled so much by the school system, by their communities, by people not wanting to raise their own kids. So what, with you specifically being a businessman, how did you make it through all of the setbacks, through the obstacles, and what is your advice to people that want to start their own business but don't have the tools to do so?
Well, first and foremost, don't be risk averse. That's one of the great things about America, and it goes back to something that my parents taught me. If at first you don't succeed, try and again. I think that we got to get financial literacy back in part of the education for our children. You know, when I was growing up, home economics was not just about learning how to cook. It was about learning how to manage the resources of a home. And so you got the checkbooks and you got a budget and you had to learn how to budget for your home and things of this nature. I think also there are great programs like Junior Achievement that is out there that takes young people and puts them in a mock situation. They're a banker or they're a business owner, they're a doctor or whatever type of professional on a community street, and they have to learn how to interact with each other. So I think as many of those things that can be done outside of the walls of a schoolhouse that can help to develop those critical thinking skills and also those critical coping skills for our young people. But I will tell you that one of the things that really does get me kind of down and upset is when I see young people that they give up so easy. I mean, the suicide rate for our young people is astronomical, and it should not be that way. I mean, when I was a young person, I couldn't wait to like grow up and get responsibility and try to get my own car, my own house, and be working and things of this nature. So I think the most important thing, Harper, we have got to start getting young people to understand that free does not equal freedom, first and foremost, and that there are people out there that will be happy to make you a victim, which means you surrender your individual rights and freedoms.
Oh, Harper, did you have something else?
Yeah, I was going to say that's completely true, especially whenever it's a culture that promotes people not being introspective anymore, that everything's going to be taken care of by the government, that, you can vote all of your problems away, that somebody's going to come in and, the government's going to save you. But I think that's a very good point, that it starts in the home. If not in the home, then at least in the schools, to help people transition into adulthood.
Well, Harper, you bring up a great point. That's the poison pill that has destroyed the black community over these last, 60 some odd years. When Lyndon Johnson, who was a Texas man who ended up becoming president, and he created the Great Society programs and this quote unquote war on poverty, you saw the black community go in a completely different direction. I mean, you don't see mothers and fathers in homes in the black community again. And that's so important. You don't see those good, strong economic opportunities in the black community again. But that was something that President Donald Trump was reintroducing, the economic empowerment zones, things of that nature, getting small businesses to come back into the black community. And so I think that that's what we have to do, is getting our community to understand that the progressive socialist left, and that's really what Brexit is all about. This is about getting off the 21st century economic plantation of the left. That's what you're exiting. That's what you're getting away from. And that really does cause a lot of pain and discomfort for the left, because they need to have people that are dependent upon them in order to get their votes.
So another a tenet of Brexit is advocating for criminal justice reform, and just wanted to ask, so what is your stance on the issue?
Well, I think that President Trump did a great thing when he implemented criminal justice reform, because there are a lot of people that are serving some exorbitant amount of jail sentences for things that are, not really major crimes. But first and foremost, I stand by the rule of law. If you break the law, there are consequences thereof. But even in breaking the law, that does not mean that there is a life that you just push aside. I think that we still should be looking and seeing how we can develop critical skills, job skills, work skills. If you remember President Trump's last State of the Union address, he recognized a black gentleman who had been a veteran, fallen on some hard times, was homeless, ended up getting into drugs, getting arrested, but he picked himself up and he turned things around because of the criminal justice reforms and programs that the Trump administration had signed into law and made a policy initiative. So I think that we should never give up on people, that we should always look and see how can we provide the hand up, not the handout, and also see that there's always the lesson that can be learned. And so we can still look at how we can make critical productive skills for people, even if they are incarcerated. And so that when they are released, they are not going out and becoming repeat offenders. And that sense of, I forget the word that they call it, but when they continue to do the same crime over and over. And I think it's very important that if you have people that are released from jail and they come out and they start becoming, go back into their communities and become productive members of that community, then that's a great lesson that we teach to the younger people, to see that, yeah, I might have gone in as a criminal, but I'm coming out and I'm trying to be a good, member of the community, because I learned a very tough lesson and I want to go to work. I want to earn for myself. And so it's important that we provide those chances and opportunities for individuals.
Harper?
Yeah. And do you think that the Biden administration, because the Trump administration laid out a great plan, kind of similar to the situation with Afghanistan, they didn't leave Biden completely in the dark. They had the Platinum Plan. And do you think that the Biden administration will follow through on everything that Trump has forethought?
Absolutely not. I mean, come on, give me a break. You look at everything that was left. I mean, all Joe Biden had to do was, eat ice cream, and the economy was on track, the border was secure, and what have you. So again, the progressive socialist left needs to have victims, and what they want to do is they want to get people wedded to them, because that's the means by which they get votes. And so, who would have ever thought that we would see a government in the United States of America that would pay people to actually stay home and not work? To the point where now, I mean, look at all of these places that you go. I was just out in Amarillo, Texas, and I pulled up to get a little Burger King breakfast sandwich, and I sat there at the drive-thru for 2 minutes, and I finally said, hello, is anyone here? And the lady, came back and said, my apologies, but we're short because we can't, get people hired. And so I'll be right with you. And it was so funny. I yelled back. I said, "Yeah, old Joe Biden's paying people to stay at home." She said, "You got that right, honey." And so people are understanding that and they're realizing it. And I think it's important, Harper, that we tap into the sense of pride that people have to say, do you really think that all you can do in life is grow up and stay in Section 8 housing and sit back and wait for a check from the government? Because that's a form of modern economic enslavement.
Yeah, I know. So one topic, you know, in our mission statement is encouraging entrepreneurship, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of in that vein, I just wanted to ask as far as like, so one barrier to for anyone to be an entrepreneur is property taxes,
Sure.
and I just want to know, like, as governor, how would you enable entrepreneurship in Texas?
Well, I think that again, the economic empowerment zones, you have to get people to invest back in our inner city, urban communities where you see the greatest amount of failure. But first and foremost, before that, we got to provide a safe and a secure environment for businesses to be able to thrive. And so when you see the gangs that are owning the streets and things of that nature, we got to make sure we eradicate that. So I think that's the first step to having economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. But when you talk about property taxes, I got to tell you, the communities that are most affected by the property taxes are the minority communities. Why? Because you see it happening in every major population center here in Dallas, historic neighborhoods, Black neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods. The property taxes continue to rise. Why? Because appraisal districts are coming in there, because you have developers that want to tear down a lot of these communities and put up these nice, fancy, apartment dwellings and with the nice, shops underneath. And you see that happening in Oak Cliff, here in Dallas. You see it in San Antonio. You see it in Austin. So I think that we have to move away from this system of taxing people for their property, because guess what? You can pay off your land, you can pay off your mortgage, but you still never own your home. You're still renting your home from the government. So what I think, first and foremost, if we can look at the budget here in the state of Texas, and we make sure that we have redundant programs and inefficient agencies, and we start cut back on the spending at the government level, and we can put those savings toward the maintenance and operations for the independent school district, so you can start to provide some of the property tax relief. But eventually what I'd like to do is that we move away from a taxation that is based upon your property, and we have a taxation that's based upon consumption, which is how taxation was done in the United States of America prior to 1917, when we introduced the income tax on the personal income tax. So if we're, some people call it a fair tax, if we are taxing people based upon the goods and services that they consuming, the great thing is that people will be able to have their homes. We can start to see a revitalization of those inner city urban communities. I look at Bonton Farms there in the Bonton community here in Dallas. What a great success story. An area that was quote unquote a food desert. I mean, no grocery stores, nothing, just those, liquor stores and, halfway convenience stores. But a guy decided that he would invest in there. And now they have one of the largest urban agricultural communities, I think, in the United States of America. They're producing their own foods. They're, eating those good, healthy foods. And we got an issue in our Black community about high blood pressure, diabetes, and things of this nature. But the other thing is that they're selling those organically grown foods, as well as they have a nice restaurant down there, and people are going down to eat the fresh, healthy foods there that are raised at Bonton Farms. So it's those type of things we want to do, but without a doubt, we've got to look at a different system for taxation other than taxing people on their homes, and that means that you're taking away that American dream, which is home ownership.
Yeah, and that especially seems to be the case because while Texas is a great state, a lot of people are moving here. A lot of people are starting to also thinking about leaving because property taxes keep on. I mean, they've never gone down. They just keep on going up and up because the government, needs more and more money to waste apparently. But I was going to ask about, speaking of Texas, how your feeling is on the Texas independence movement. And that's something that you've seen a lot of people talking about. And there was even a bill introduced in Congress, or not in Congress, but on the state legislative level.
Yeah, I supported HB 1359, which would have allowed citizens here in the state of Texas to vote on whether or not Texas independence. And why wouldn't we allow people to be able to have a vote? Because that's what it's this thing called representative democracy and a constitutional republic is supposed to be about. Allow people to vote on critical issues about the future and the destiny of the state of Texas. But I think that now is a great and important time, Harper, for Texas to lead. I think that right now, when you look at the onerous, intrusive nature of the Biden administration and the unconstitutional way that they're conducting business, I mean, you can't just sit around and say by executive order, we're going to have an open border. We're not going to secure our border. We're not going to protect the sovereignty of the state of Texas. So I think that Texas needs to step up and reassert state sovereignty and states' rights. There's a reason why we have the 10th Amendment in our Constitution, because it says all of those powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states and to the people. So really the strength in this constitutional republic called these United States of America is at the state level. So I believe it's really important that instead of us looking at how we extricate ourselves from America, we look at how we can reassert ourselves as a strong constitutional conservative state.
Harper, if you have any other questions, I just got one last question. So,
no, it's all been answered. Great. Thank you so far for coming on, and I appreciate your wisdom and yeah.
Well, it comes with the gray hair, Harper.
well, I have one last question, mainly because it's just a very topical one. I mean, we've been living through this whole pandemic for the past over a year. And so I just wanted to ask you, as my last question is, how would your administration handle this pandemic as opposed to the current one?
Well,
in Texas.
Yeah, I would have provided people the best possible information to make decisions about their own personal health decisions. But when we start to go down the path of mandates, edicts, orders, and decrees, we are ruling over people and we're not governing people. And so when I look at, COVID, without a doubt, it's real. But you can target it and understand that it affects certain specific demographics. Definitely, if you have certain comorbidities, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart issues, obesity, you're going to struggle with COVID-19. And so I think that we should be asking people to take, responsibility and have preventive healthcare measures in their own lives. I don't think that any elected official has the enumerated power to decide who or what is essential. So I would not be going out and, shutting down businesses. It's very funny to me that, a lot of the small businesses were told to shut down, but no one told Home Depot to shut down. No one told Walmart to shut down. So I don't think we should have people picking the winners and the losers out there in the free marketplace and allow people to make those decisions. I think that another thing that I would do differently is to talk about other healthcare protocols. Like I said, preventative healthcare measures that you can take for yourself. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Myself, I still get up every morning, except for Wednesday morning. That's my one morning off. But I still go for my run and work out. And, now that it's warm, I get out and take a nice little swim. But I take zinc and other multivitamins every day. So I'm one of those unvaccinated Black guys because I am trying to make sure that I'm not part of that demographic. And a couple of weeks ago, when the lieutenant governor said that the reason why we're having a COVID-19 spike in the state of Texas is because of unvaccinated Black people, I really took him to task on that because I found that very condescending and offensive.
Yep, and I'm in agreement with what you're saying. And first off, I just want to say, Colonel West, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us.
It was my pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again.
All right. All right. So again, thanks to Colonel West for joining us. And this is the first of, I'll say, of many of interviews that we'll have in the next couple of months. Matter of fact, right now, so far, we will have Chad Prather will be on next month, and Don Huffines will be on the month after that. And trying to remember the dates off the top of my head. I know October because it's going to be Halloween, so I can remember that one. But in September, I think it's the 29th. 29th to 26th. It's the last Sunday of of the month. So whatever the last Sunday is, that's when it's going to be. So You know, Harper, I don't know if you had anything.
Yeah, I think it's I want to say the 25th or the 26th, somewhere in the somewhere one of those the dates that we put up. But
Yeah, no, try to look at the calendar right quick. But yeah, so yeah, that'll be the next time we'll be on. So yeah, we'll have Chad Prather on, and we'll basically ask him the same questions for the most part, because um, just like I said in the beginning, we're just going by Blexit's, Blexit's mission statement, and yeah, I mean, we'll ask some other questions, but we're basing it all on that, and so yeah, that's so with each candidate that we'll have on, that's where we're going to start from, and so that's so we'll see. Um, like I said, this kind of came out of nowhere as far as even doing this. So I'm glad we got the first one um, going, and now moving on and just see where this goes. So so and I appreciate people who are. We had a lot of comments. If you didn't notice, while I was like shifting my eyes, I kept looking at the comments back over here, which just trying to read, and and I know I couldn't get to anything, so I'm just going back and forth looking at it. And so yeah, that's mainly what I was doing. So, but yeah, I appreciate everyone that has commented. I mean, okay, I got two. Well, I can't mention everyone, but I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate all the comments. I'm going to try to name them all, but no, I'm not going to do that. But, so I'm trying to remember what was it. Well, I guess check out Bledsoe, Texas Facebook page for events. We have like local events, like socials and whatnot. So check out Bledsoe, Texas Facebook page for those events and times, so you can meet up with us at whatever event it is. So, and it was something else I was trying to see before I finish. I don't know if Harper, if you had anything. Oh yeah, well, yeah. No, we ain't got time now. We ain't talk about milk crates, but
oh yeah,
but
best to leave that one
I
alone
mean,
because
well,
it's so.
I said I was going to talk about that after we finish, because I didn't want to bring Colonel West into that. I mean, I guess all I will say is that I'm not going to do it. I've watched a number of people fall off, so but I just it's I heard about it. I was like, what is this? And then next thing I know, I see all these videos of people trying to walk up a pyramid of crates. I was like, okay, I don't get it, but okay.
As soon as I heard milk crate challenge, I already knew. Like I was like, what is it now?
Yeah, so well, you know what? One thing I just saw that election integrity just passed in the Texas House and Senate today. So, and I don't have any more information than that. So, because I just got an email about it like right before we came on, and so that's great to hear, because all I heard, all I read in the email is that it passed the Texas House and Senate, and that it's going to Governor Abbott's desk to be signed. So I mean, that's great to hear. So all right, now we're over 30 minutes. So so until next week, next month, and we'll have Chad Prather on, and we will continue this Texas gubernatorial series. And again, let me also say this is open to all candidates. So right now, I'm reaching out to everyone that has officially announced that they're running for governor. So I'm not just going to reach out to anyone that's just saying it. But as soon as someone officially announced that they're running, then I will reach out to see if they will come on with us to to answer the same question. So for Brian Bledsoe and Harper Price, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next month.